Okay, check this out. We are going into Diamond Cycle 9 here with a blast from the past a little bit. I've run out of things to cast. So this is Diamond Cycle 9, round of 16, xCet versus YLTP. The HoN Tour playoffs are going on, but HoNcast has pretty much everything that I haven't covered myself. They're either going to cover or have covered already. Same thing with Colecast. They've taken a few games there. And I feel no obligation to provide coverage for things that they've already done because Breaky and Beef are better than I am at this. And if you're seeing this, there's a really good chance you know who they are and you know where to find that stuff. So HoNcast a little slow on the YouTube uploads. Of course, I only do YouTube. I don't do Twitch. But obviously, past broadcasts, if you go to either of their Twitch channels, you'll be able to find everything. So it shouldn't be that big a deal to find the content if you're looking for it. And I believe between all of us, now considering myself part of the team, I'm so beautiful. The three of us, we've covered every single match of Diamond Cycle 10, every single match of... Sorry, not every single match, because a couple I couldn't find. Stay Green versus Simplified Gaming, I think that wasn't there, but everything else from Diamond Cycle 10, everything from the Season 2 playoffs should be covered. So hopefully there's just way too much content out there and you can't see all of it, and that's why you're watching this, and because you're really, really bored. But this is the first game in Diamond Cycle 9, round of 16, so now my objective is I'm just going to go through everything that hasn't been casted. If there's a replay available, I'll pull it up and cast it, and hopefully that will keep me occupied for the next, I don't know how long, hopefully forever, maybe forever, why not. But bans, yay, Scout, Tempest, Keeper of the Forest, Warbeast, as we have to acknowledge that this was before the previous patch. So this is before Scout took some nerfs, and this is before Keeper of the Forest took some nerfs. So those two getting banned out here, not surprising at all. I don't think Warbeast and Tempest took too much. The Tempest Elementals, of course, split. They do a little less attack damage now, so it's a little harder for them to push. It's a little harder for him to jungle, but not that big a nerf for Tempest. But it's notable that there are a few changes in this game that have occurred since this game was played, so we're sort of operating on the previous patch, and that needs to be kept in mind. With that said, none of the bans here are particularly surprising. A lot of suicides, in fact 3, as Keeper in this patch does not jungle, plus the Jungle Tempest, as it looks like we've so far got no jungle here on the YLTP side, so we'll see if they choose to pick up Parasite here. He is really the only jungler left, as Tempest was banned out and Ophelia was already picked. So perhaps looking for a jungler in that Parasite. Ophelia, Pebbles, and Grinix picked up here for xCet, as of course this is also before Pebbles, I believe, took some nerfs. I don't remember exactly what happened to him in that patch, but I don't really care enough to look it up, and we're in the middle of this game anyway, so that would be silly. Legion team here has some pretty obvious lanes. Grinix in the suicide role, going to be on Keizu, Pebbles in the mid on Zergo, and Pew going to run the Ophelia in the jungle. So nothing surprising there. Certainly a lot of gank and burst potential here between Grinix, Pebbles, and Ophelia, all strong gank heroes. Pebbles and Grinix in particular are strong gankers, and then Ophelia, of course, bringing some push, bringing some team fight here. So no real carry here for xCet. Not a ton of push here, not a ton of team fight, but certainly they have plenty of burst damage and some late game potential with Pebbles, and Ophelia does, and Grinix do bring a little bit of that themselves. Hellborn side, much more concerned with team fight, a much stronger late game team here. Of course, the NG Flux combination, and you have to remember in this patch, Engineer is the premier support, so we're going to be seeing a lot of him. And he was first picked here by YLTP, as xCet did not choose to ban him or first pick him. And of course the NG Flux combination, very, very popular. Drop the energy field, pull everybody in with a Flux ultimate. Everybody gets silenced, they can watch damage. Very, very strong combination. It's run quite frequently. And of course there's strong laners as well in middle. NG and Flux, they do a ton of damage. There's quite a lot of lockdown between the two of them. The keg, the pull, the release, the turret, stuns, slows, positioning things. Plenty of burst damage, plenty of slow to get those auto attacks in, and should be a pretty dominant mid lane. Meanwhile, the Wretched Hag, of course, providing some late game carry potential. We'll see if that's actually going to be a short laner or a suicide Hag. Majestics on this YLTP side has played a lot of Hag, and has had some iffy games, I think. I'm not sure if he's too comfortable with that here. I've certainly seen him have some really suffer times especially if he goes up against the bubbles. I've seen actually multiple games where he just gets destroyed. But perhaps won't be the case here, as he may not even play the hero, but if he does play in a suicide role, let's see how he does. Nonetheless, a very strong team over here from Hellborn. Not too much push, not too much gank potential, but lots of team fight, lots of carry. So they have plenty of late game, and not really favoring them, I think, at this point, for besides the Legion side, because, with this patch, there's a lot of mid-game heavy stuff, and of course, xCet going up against YLTP. xCet has the names, they've got the recognition, and it's no doubt going to favor them just because you think the skill cap here on the Legion side is much higher. That said, though, going into the bans, Moon Queen, Sandwraith, and Parasite banned out here from the Legion side, so taking away the last jungler, so YLTP at this point cannot run a jungler, and obviously that also gives xCet a pretty significant advantage, as for the most part of jungle heroes up against the second support lineups, you do tend to favor the jungler. And that on top of 2 short lane bans, so clearly Pew expecting this hag to be a suicide. And I would assume that he's done his homework a little bit there in that expectation. Kraken available as well, though, to suicide, so we'll see which one of those Night EUs is going to pick up, because it's pretty obvious that NG Flux is going to be in the mid lane. We could also see a hag mid and possibly a tri lane, but I would expect to see the NG Flux mid in a dual lane and a hard carry on the babysit support on... Well, actually, no. Yeah, see, because with the Hag and Kraken, they both want solo lanes. So this, actually, I'm expecting a tri-lane here from YLTP. And we'll see whether it's going to be the Kraken in the short lane or the Hag, and which of those will go mid. But I expect the aggressive tri-lane here. Could also run the safe lane tri. But to be honest, I don't really like that, especially coming up against a Grinix. It's going to be too hard to lock him down. There's only one stun so far, and it's the energy keg, which isn't reliable. He'll have plenty of time to get the Rift Stock off, and without a Ward of Rev or some dust, it's going to be impossible to kill this Grinix. Of course, if they bring one, it'll be very helpful, but they could have some issues killing him if they don't. So I'd like to see the aggressive tri-lane here coming out from YLTP, and then that would mean a short lane Hag, I think, in a mid Kraken would probably be the best situation. You could also flip those two, and it would be just fine. As I believe Senelix is their mid player, so this is looking more and more like a Kraken solo short, Hag mid, and NG Flux as part of this tri-lane. So hopefully they'll get a third stun for setup here. Aluna's out there, Witch Slayer's there. Something along those lines I think would be the best option for them on YLTP. Meanwhile, their own bans, Dampier, Gemini, and Master of Arms, so banning out one support as xCet hadn't picked up a support yet, plus the short laners, and xCet, of course, bringing out Torture and Corrupted Disciple in response to that, getting their short laner and getting their support hero. So pretty obvious lanes coming out here from Team Excellent. This is going to be a Cersei, so I don't like that, actually. We'll get into that in a second. So xCet's lane's pretty clear here. Pew going to be probably in the Legion jungle. Grinix going to be Suicide, Pebbles, and Torture mid, so lots of kill potential there, as you're going to see 2 AoE stuns and plenty of defensive ability too. So if for some reason these are dual lanes coming out from Hellborn, they're not going to be too dangerous. And it actually is Flux on that Senelix, or Senelix on that Flux, so this is looking like a dual mid with Flux NG. And then I guess a Kraken Cersei, and Majestix is going to be on that Hag. So this is going to be a Suicide Hag, Cersei Kraken in the short lane, and Flux NG in the top. I don't like this too much. This is going to basically destroy Hellborn's chance of turning this into a late game farm fest, because while Kraken is very powerful, and look, the snow is back. That's going to be annoying. While Kraken's a powerful hero, he's not really a strong carry, and he certainly wouldn't be a stronger carry than either Hag or Corrupted Disciple. So running him in the short lane, I think, is fine if you want to get aggressive really fast, but if that's the case, you don't need a babysitter. And I fully expect Zunonix and the Cersei to be a babysit for Kraken, just because of the player-hero combinations that are here, and you can see Flux NG is in the mid. So really, with Hellborn's lineup, it would be fine if they were going to try to run a mid-game here. They have a bunch of heroes that are very strong in the mid-game. The issue is so do Legion. They've got the Ophelia strong in the mid. Pebbles and Grinix especially are very, very dangerous in the mid-game, especially if they get strong starts. And with a dual stun lane in mid, I fully expect them to. And then Grinix, of course, also a very strong mid-game hero, as that Rift Stalk and Shadow Step come out. They do a lot of damage, and he and Pebbles will have a ton of fun picking off these supports. Engineer and Cersei Neither of them have really great ways to get away. Cersei has a few with the Invis and the Immobilize, but the Immobilize actually is fairly hard to hit. And the Invis is good, but she pays for that by being extremely squishy. And both Grynyx and Pebbles don't really care about the Invis because Grynyx is going to open from Invis. Pebbles is going to open with a portal key. So for both of those heroes, Cersei should die before she's even able to get the Invis off. And as a result, I'm a little worried about both of these heroes being able to survive the burst from the gankers here on Legion. And as a result of that, I'm really wondering if this mid-game lineup here from Hellborn is going to be able to do anything. Now, with Corrupted in the short lane and Hag in the Suicide, the late game here should go to the Legion side, not just because of that, but because Pebbles, Kraken, fairly even. You might give it either way, but Pebbles will have a much easier time picking off hero kills because of the Hellborn lineup and because of the dual supports. So I'm thinking to myself, Pebbles and Grynyx are going to have a really nice mid-game because of all the supports that they're going to be able to farm. And with Corrupted Disciple getting the lane and bot that he should absolutely win coming up against a Hag, then it seems to me like xCet have both the mid-game and the late game. And I don't really see where YLTP's team is going to be able to beat them. I think if you were going to run the aggressive tri-lane here, that would make a lot more sense, because that would give you the short lane Hag to go up against Grynyx, who, Hag and Grynyx can actually do a fair bit of damage to Hag, as Cersei's taking a bunch as well. It has to take a health bot here. But Grynyx shouldn't be able to kill Hag as long as Hag plays fairly safe. And especially applying that haunt a lot will be very helpful. Then you run the aggressive tri-lane against Corrupted, and that would shut him down. No escape mechanism, he's got no stun, he's got no slow, and as a result he would basically be forced out of lane, as there's just too much harass would come out from the Hellborn side, and ganks coming in from Ophelia and possibly from Sender on that Torture wouldn't be very effective. And then what they'd end up having to do is rotate the Torturer bot to run the dual lane, but they would probably still lose that lane. And Kraken or Hag would be just fine mid against Pebbles, and then the other one would be just fine. Probably Hag in the short lane would be just fine top, and then Kraken would just fine mid against Pebbles. So, not really liking the lane decisions coming out here from YLTP. I don't feel like Kraken wants the Cersei here in the first place. It's not like they're going to use the two of them to get a kill on Grynyx. Shadow Step coming in there. Invis is on Cersei, though, so she won't take too much damage. And now Grynyx is going to choose to run away. Certainly a good decision there. But, Kraken's a hero that likes to get levels as fast as possible. He has 3 skills that he wants to max. All of those do a lot of damage. None of those are really one-point wonders. They're, well, splashes, I guess, to some extent, and so is Charge, but, they're all, I want as many of these as I can take. Release there going in from Flux, and a little trouble, but Pebbles actually can throw the Stalagmites onto Flux, so he will be fine. Sender missing the chain reactions there. As Pebbles takes a fair bit of damage, but so does Flux. Of course, Flux having that bottle will be able to heal up. Pebbles also has a bottle, and that will help him out. So not only that, feeling like the Legion have the late game and the early game. With their lineup, you also have to consider jungler, because normally with the dual support lanes, you would expect to win 2 lanes and lose the 3rd. Right now, they're losing mid and they're losing bot. So we've got Nox here at 250 gold per minute compared to the 166 of Hag, who's now being forced out of lane a little bit. And in mid, actually stun shock going on to both of them. Keg gonna come out will be very nice in getting everybody away. Catman is following that engineer, and it won't be enough. So Pew coming in looking for the gank, but won't find it. Anyway, so you look at the GPM charts, Corrupted and Pebbles, both above everybody on this Hellborn side. So not only is Corrupted winning his lane against Hag, he's actually winning it harder than Kraken is, despite the fact that he has a babysit up here against the Suicide Grynyx. So this is a pretty serious problem for Legion, or for Hellborn, because they have the jungle, so Pew is outfarming their supports because he's at 200 gold per minute compared to the 69 of both supports on Hellborn. On top of that, Kraken's beating Hag, and Pebbles' Torture is beating Flux NG in mid. So not only do the lanes not do well in terms of the late game, they're not doing well right now, or the mid game for that matter, and they're also not doing well in the laning phase. So this is a serious problem here for Hellboy, because it doesn't seem to me like they can have a good early game and transition that into a good mid game and then take a win or something like that, because they're having a bad early game and they're not going to be able to recover this in mid, just because the Pebbles and Grinix are going to be able to open up too much space for Corrupted, and they're not going to take this late because Hag isn't going to have enough farm as she was put in that suicide roll. And I think if you compare that to the aggressive tri-lane, which would have won them bot, and then top and mid would have both been 1v1s, because eventually Torture would have rotated down to help protect that Corrupted. So they would have had to win one of top or bot, and then they would have been fine in the laning phase because they would win, or sorry, one of top or mid. So then they would have been fine in the laning phase because they win bot, they win top or mid, and then the jungle is lost because of course it is, but that's what happens. Riftstock coming in here from Grinix as everybody's going to back up. They were relatively sure he was coming in, but once again, that's going to give Zergo free farm here, as Flux is getting not a lot, 240 gold per minute compared to the 320 of Pebbles, as he's going to have his Steam Boots relatively soon, and should have his Portal Key by 14 and 15 minutes. Cersei's in mid. Immobilize actually is going to hit Pebbles, but the Slag might come in and tag will not connect. So Immobilize, I think this is one of the fundamental problems I have with Cersei. She's a very strong hero, and I think she definitely has a place in the competitive scene, but I hate Immobilizes. I hate Glacius's Immobilize, and for that reason I don't play that hero when I play support, because just it's great for locking somebody down, but you need a stun. Invisrune actually here on Grinix, so he's looking for an initiation. And as a result of that not being a stun, that's not a kill. Otherwise, that very possibly could have been a kill on the Pebbles, but he puts the Stalagmites down, prevents further initiation. And nothing gets Riftstock, and it comes in. Shadow Step pushes everybody away. Nice keg, hits everything, and Flux is just a little too tanky. So great keg there from Engineer. As, of course, the Shadow Step did not result in a stun. And I believe at least one of the stuns was missed there by the Legion side, so I'm not sure if it would have mattered anyway. This Engineer's going, yeah, this Grinix is here too often, so I'm going to put a reward down. Keizu, with all the roaming he's been doing, he's still at almost 190 gold per minute, almost 200, compared to Majestics, just getting destroyed in the spot lane. 140 GPM, she's been forced out. Unlike Grinix, who has basically chosen to leave. And not really a great situation for Hag here. She is going to need to carry, too. Like, this is, their Stalagmites will hit Flux, chuck back, onto the chain reactions, into the tower. Well played there, and this is going to be a dead Flux. Oh my god, just barely. Bottle charges nearly enough, but not quite. So nice play there from Zergo and Sender. Invis coming out from Cersei as she runs them both in the same direction for some reason, but Grinix won't be able to pick her off. Sender stacking these Ancients. As the 8-minute rune will spawn top, it is a haste. And Pebbles will immediately take it and look for a pickup on here on top. And Riftstock going to come in here from Grinix. Stalagmites actually missed. Nice charge away, but I don't think this is going to matter too much. There's a Shadow Step. Doesn't actually stun. And he's going to be okay. Release of Kraken completely misses everything. Chuck is still available, but that's not going to be enough here. So the Stalagmite's missing, and then the Shadow Step not stunning results in no kill on Kraken. I think if either of those had hit, there's a reasonable chance he would have died, but as it is, does not occur. Ophelia now going to come bot and push this tower in. Probably won't be a tower kill quite. Actually, yeah, with the creep going over here and distracting these Legion creeps, this will be a tower kill.
The Legion have destroyed a Hellborn tower.
So nice play there from Pure and Ophelia. As now they're looking for a second kill here. That's probably a little greedy as Kraken has come in to defend. Back to middle lane. Once again, we see these situations where Flux is just like, I have nothing. I do nothing. So Flux Energy normally a very strong combination, but the dual stuns here on the Legion side, and both of them relatively easy to land, especially compared to Engineer's Keg. Not very helpful. Courier will actually spot Kraken out here, but now Ophelia is just dead. Torrent, there's the splash. Nothing. Nothing he could do. And his minions will get cleaned up here. So death on Pew there, as the scores are now 1-1. Stalagmites actually do hit, plus the chain reactions actually might miss, but there's a Shadow Step. And the Impel will finish off the Lux here. $5K gold lead, 3.45K experience lead here for the Legion side, as they've just been dominating this laning phase. Everybody at 230 gold per minute or so. Actually, we're next to the lowest farm on his own team. And looking at the Hellborn side, they only have one hero that's out farming even anybody on this Legion squad. So not only is the gold in favor of the Legion, the gold pretty much everywhere is in favor of the Legion. As Grinix is sitting invis here once again, looking for a pick. Stalagmites are available, there, as they go out onto Kraken. They're looking for counter initiation. There's a Shadow Step, will actually stun. Nice Keg hits a bunch, and Kraken charges away, so he'll be alright. As Grinix and Pebble standing too close to each other, getting hit by that Keg stun. And I think perhaps waiting until there was a Chuck available on Pebbles might have been the correct decision, as Kraken is pretty damn tanky being a Kraken. And having some pretty solid farm up there and top at 310 gold per minute. Grinix over here will spot out Engineer, does get the Keg stun off. Nice Keg actually will help get him over. Chuck way high. Chain reactions do finish him off though. Hag coming in here will get stunned out actually. Cersei taking over Pebbles, and he will get the source support stop, and nice picks up there as Zudonix on that Cersei gets a couple of kills. So a good fight back there from the Hellborn side, actually. Bringing all 5 heroes and picking off 2 for 1. Of course, that was plenty of dive there on the Legion side that made that possible. Immobilized there onto Corrupted Disciple, but not going to drop anything there. Release the Kraken was available, but I don't think they had vision, so they're like, I'm not going to waste the spell on the possibility of getting a kill. It's too important. And I think there's no guarantee he would have died there anyway. 1100 health here on CD. He is reasonably tanky. And he's pretty damn fast as well. Haystrin picked up on bot. Pebbles 800 gold on top of his Steam Boots, Power Supply, and Bottle, so plenty of regen for him. And he's working on his Portal Key next, I would assume. So at 12 minutes or so, considering his farm, he should have that probably by about 15 minutes, maybe a little past. Of course, with a couple of kills, he could expedite that process. The rest of the items here on the Legion side, running the Teacher and regular boots here for Ophelia, as her farm hasn't been great, 230 gold per minute, but of course, compared to the supports and really even Majestics on that Suicide Hag, she's been doing quite well. Grinix coming in here with the Rift Stock, looking for an opening. There is a Rev Ward down here from the Hellborn side, of course, so they will see him. As he's looking to come in from the back, but he's definitely been spotted at this point. He's going to come in from the side, but, oh, they could have jumped. I'm really surprised they didn't jump Grinix right there. I definitely would have. Kraken coming in from the side, though, will see him, and not going to initiate as he has the Rift Stock available. Stalagmites go out to help clean up the Creep Wave. So Pebble's just looking for his Portal Key as fast as possible, as the entire Hellborn team is grouped up here in middle. Feeling already like they need to train this, and I don't disagree with that. I think that they're certainly in a position where they need to bring 5. They need to start taking some towers. They got to get this gold lead down. You know, you can't set a 5k gold lead after 14 minutes and think, oh yeah, we're in a good position, especially considering that Legion has plenty of late game and plenty of mid game carry potential. So mid tower here going to be heavily pressured, as everybody from the Hellborn are coming in. Meanwhile, bot also going to get pressured, and this is actually going to be an easier tower kill for the Legion than it will be for the Hellborn, with going out on both sides. Grinix up on top doing some tower pressure there, and this tower still is not dead. It will fall, but in exchange, Hellborn loses secondary tower and are now going to have to defend top tower, which is below half health. As Grinix will pull the creep waves over here into the camp. use it to farm the jungle some more? No, he's just going to push them back here and get lane control. So I think favorable tower trading here from the Legion side is they get a secondary in exchange for a primary, and they're going to have a nearly dead top tower, so this should be relatively easy to kill, barring a supremely unexpected defense from this Hellborn side. And of course, mid tower has taken a little bit of damage, so they can also choose to push that in. With the Ophelia, of course, they're pushing power here on the Legion's pretty substantially superior to Hellborn, and of course there's the portal key onto Pebbles. So like I said, just past the 15-minute mark, and we see him pick up the PK. Looking at the Hellborn side, 930 health on Hag and Cersei. They will both die pretty much immediately. 758 health on Engineer, and he's just absolutely screwed if he shows up. Of course, that's for both of them, that's strength steam boots. So if they're caught out on non-strength steam boots, then they will be dead. Grenix over here to the side looking for a pick onto Hag. Won't find her. He is actually invis. That is the rift stock, not a rune. Excuse me, I thought it was a rune. Lasted for a very long time. So mid tower going to get heavily pressured. Also, of course, the impalement from Torture very helpful. There's a jump onto Hag, and she's just dead. So tower trading here, mid for top, and it doesn't look like Legion's going to be interested in stopping here, nor should they be. They have the entire team as Nox is coming up from the bot river, and this could be a relatively easy mid tower push. As we're going to have Sorcery here, plus we're going to Teacher from Ophelia will help Pebbles get all his mana up, and there's a secondary tower kill. Now that they know that Pebbles has the portal key, of course, Cersei, Engineer, and Hag pretty much can't do anything by themselves. They have to be extremely aware of where Pebbles is, and they can't, like, show themselves in the beginning of a fight because he will jump and kill them. And now 9.5k gold lead, just under 7k, now so really more than 6.5k experience lead for the Legion side, so they're continuing to expand their resource control. And in terms of options here, I'm not really sure what the Hellborn have. I think that their only idea at this point should be to team fight, because they've got 4 ultimates, arguably 5 depending on how you view Cersei's, that are very strong in team fights. They do plenty of AoE damage. As up here, Grenix going to find Kraken, but of course it's Kraken, you're not going to do too much to him. He's got 1600 health, Mystic Vestments, and a helm. Instead, going to look for somebody else. Hag running through the jungle right past a Word of Sight. And now she's in a bit of trouble, I think. No, actually. So Hellborn will group up here, up on top, as Cersei Illusion's farming or stacking the Ancients there. So this top tower will be pushed in relatively easily. I don't think the glyph is up. Meanwhile, on the side, it looks like Flux will get caught. Pebble is going to be able to finish her off. Energy field goes down. Cersei taking over Corrupted Disciple, so that's actually an excellent takeover, and CD will fall here. Hellborn's Courier does die in the meantime. Flux pulling everybody back in. Torturer's on the run. He's going to fall here, as Nightyu's actually come right back here. And Pebbles is looking for a kill onto the Cersei. Will not find it as she just gets popped out of that. Grenix is actually looking for her instead, but the illusion gets popped, and she won't die. Kraken now the focus of the fire, and he's going to fall here in a second. Grenix still has plenty of life. Jump over here in the back, and Cersei will fall to Pebbles. Flux buying back, of course, coming back into this fight. Shadow Step doesn't actually stun, and he's going to actually pull up a nice juke there, but Energizer gets popped, and now he's totally screwed. Stalagmites and Pebbles up in a second, and there goes the stun. Nope, just the chuck. And that's going to be plenty. So over here in the background, Engineer is looking for something, trying to stay alive. So despite Cersei taking over Nox there and doing quite a bit, Riftstalker actually, or Riftstalk, going to be there, and that will kill off NG. So that's going to end up being a genocide. Actually 6 kills really in favor of the Legion side, as it killed everything. I think Majestics died. No, actually he didn't. No, yeah, he did. Excuse me, at the beginning of the fight. Yeah. Wait, no, he didn't. He didn't die that fight. Yeah, that was way before. So Majestics did actually live. And now he might not, as there it goes. Kraken coming in, trying to pick off this Grenix, but there's a Rift Stock away, and he's just totally fine. He is available on Kraken, so he's actually got some initiation potential, and his farm continues to be pretty solid. Knight EU has 365 gold per minute, so certainly not an issue for them. But as I said, this mid-game does also belong to Legion, you know. They had a really strong start, and I think it's very possible without this strong start they wouldn't be doing nearly as well, because Hellborn actually fought back pretty well in that fight. Cersei especially grabbing the ultimate onto Nox there and did a ton of work. So that was very good, but with the lead, with strong mid-games like Pebbles and Grenix, and Torture to some extent, and Ophelia to some extent, really even CD a bit of a mid-game carry. You know, so with those heroes up on the Legion side, it's difficult to imagine that plus the gold lead turning into happy fun times for this Hellborn team. And like I said as well, you know, they don't have the carry potential. If you look at the GPMs here, Kraken's way up there at 370. After that, it's 215 on Flux and below 200 for everybody else. Kraken just doesn't have the carry potential. Like, he's not going to out-carry a Corrupted Disciple. He won't do it. I mean, barring 600 GPM on Kraken and 300 to 400 on CD, it's just not going to happen. And considering that CD is already at 430 and Kraken's at 365, especially with this level of farm, again, not going to happen. Pebbles at 450 gold per minute, now picking up a Shrunken Head on top of his portal key, because why not? He also has a ring mail, so presumably looking for that Soul's Bulwark at some point, possibly a Barb Armor, but I think I prefer the Bulwark. Grenix, of course, now has that Shield Breaker, so he's doing plenty of physical damage on top of his Ghost Marchers and Energizer. Corrupted Disciple picking up a Shrunken, knowing that he doesn't need damage because Corrupted Conduit will take care of that for him. Instead choosing just, I'd rather stay alive in these fights. They've got all sorts of stuns, immobilizes, energy field's a big problem. I don't want to have to deal with that. I'm going to Shrunken up and be able to move freely. Torture finishing Steam Boots, Push Book, Mystic Vestments, and Power Supply. He's the only support on this team, and he has 260 gold per minute, so that level of farm and those items shall tell you exactly how well Legion's doing here. Sender managing to get more farm than anybody on the Hellborn side except for Kraken, and as a result becomes a much stronger utility here than he normally would be. Grenix and the Scout Out Cersei here is going to pop the illusion just in time as actually disjoins the Shadow Step there. And the Immobilize will come on to Torture, so he's actually going to get pushed back in here, and he might be in some trouble. We'll throw out the chain reactions, the ultimate comes out from Ophelia, and they're going to put the energy field down. Release of Kraken hits almost nothing, but Cersei going to take over Pebbles. He pops the Shrunken Head, trying to live here. Grenix, actually, that's nice, will be able to finish off Flux, but there goes the Hag Bat Blast, and that's going to result in Kazu's death. Now, so, man, Smithix there on that Engineer just getting destroyed by a DD to Corrupted Disciple, so the Legion team accurately responding to Sender getting caught out here, and he doesn't even die. They do lose Kazu on that Grenix, but certainly not enough to deter the push here, especially with the DD Rune on Corrupted Disciple. There's the Glyph going to slow down a little bit, but this will still be a mid-tower kill. And 23 minutes into the game, Hellborn are going to lose their first base tower, possibly even a Rax here. As Kraken, nobody really has their ults on Hellborn, so there's not much they can do to fight this at this point. Kraken can jump here on Descender, going to try to get a pick off. He's got the push book over his cliff. Meanwhile, Hag going to get picked up by Pebbles' combo. And nice Grenix getting spotted out by the Dust and getting locked down fairly effectively here, but not nearly enough. Pebbles just being a big problem. Will throw Kraken in the air, and he's actually fairly low. And there goes the Electric Die to finish him off. Now, Flux on the run will take the Stalagmites, and Peg actually hits 2, but still not enough as Pew manages to finish off that kill. So there goes a Rax. 23 minutes into this game, we've got a Rax down in favor of Legion, and there's a GG. It's not that surprising. So, slightly poor play here, I think, from YLTP. Their draft wasn't great. Their lane decisions, I think, were worse. Their lane play also wasn't super great. They just got outlaned. And now that I can forgive a little bit because I think the skill potential is still here on the Legion side, but this is a pretty thorough stomping by xCet as they take game 1 of the series. So YLTP hoping for something better in game 2 because it's kind of hard to imagine things could get much worse, but it does remain a possibility. So hopefully we'll see some more competition in game 2 because that will finish off this game number 1, and we'll see you there.